From scoring a bicycle kick
Mbappé!
to forgetting how to beat his man.
He is too selfish, as a lot of the top players are when they get to a certain level.
From saying he will do it 10 times more to doing nothing at all. From enjoying Xabi ball
We're playing sensational football, mate!
to another embarrassing loss, Real Madrid are a story on their own.
It's not just Vinny, and it's not just Rodrigo, and it's not just Bellingham. They've got guys that are capable of producing something all over the park.
A year ago, the vibes were great. Madrid winning titles, the team being closer than ever. Fast forward, and it seems like every month, Madrid are getting embarrassed.
We are Real Madrid.
You are going to lose.
It can be 7, it can be 8. I remember Barcelona, I remember a couple of them. Can be more.
What the hell happened to these guys?
So on Monday, Xabi Alonso put pen to paper on a contract which sees him take charge at Real Madrid, replacing Carlo Ancelotti.
When Xabi Alonso came in, everybody knew that he had a big job on his hands. The problems were visible, but there was hope that the Spaniard could figure it out. After all, who is better at managing a bunch of stars than a player who was a part of the second edition of the Galácticos? In the first few weeks, Madrid fans were already seeing progress. They were already seeing glimpses of what Xabi ball can look like. Madrid were pinging the ball around Salzburg like it was a training session, and if you actually watch some of Madrid's training footage, you could see that they were applying an exact pattern of play that they had worked on in training. You can see Alonso shouting instructions at the players, telling them where to move, where to be, as they work on different passing patterns in a possession drill.
Staying compact, and that once we got past the initial phase, they could push forward. It wasn't something we worked on all week, it was more something we talked about during the cooling break. We wanted to stretch the pitch a bit with Vinny and Gonzalo on the last line and let others arrive into the box. Then it comes down to their quality.
This is the first time in a long time that Madrid have had a manager who has a clear tactical identity. Xabi has spoken multiple times about his philosophies and how he wants his team to play.
That reading of the game, it's important. Where is the space and who is the free player?
Ancelotti was a manager who encouraged his players to play free, and he let them figure out how to solve problems on the fly. When you are winning, that strategy looks fantastic. It's free-flowing football. The issue is that when it stops working, when you stop winning, it looks real ugly because you have no foundation to fall back on. Well, Xabi Alonso is not like Ancelotti in that regard. There are certain shapes and positions he wants to see.
That's what she said!
Now, there is no doubt that he has taken a lot of things from Ancelotti's management. After all, Xabi played under the Italian on 2 different teams. But he has mixed in those philosophies with all of the other philosophies that he's learned from the other managers he has played under, taking little things from Mourinho, Pep, Del Bosque, and even Luis Aragonés. And as a result, Real Madrid looked really good early in the Club World Cup. They were playing better football as they beat Pachuca and Salzburg. They tied Al Hilal, which was clowned at the time, but we saw later in the tournament that Simone Inzaghi's side was actually pretty good, as they knocked City out. Plus, they could have won that game if Valverde had scored his pen. Then in the knockouts, they went on and defeated Juventus and Borussia Dortmund. Now, it wasn't just the fact that they were winning, it's that the team was actually playing fluid football. Xabi would change things on the fly, like against Juve, when Madrid started off the game in a 3-back, but then in the second half, Tchouaméni was pushed into midfield and it became a 4-back setup. That change allowed Madrid to take control of the game and pin Juve back. In the 4-back system, Madrid were able to push Trent and Fran Garcia higher and wider, meaning that they could exploit the spaces in behind before Juve could shift their 5-3-2 block. Eventually, Madrid's pressure from the wide areas led to their only goal, when Trent crossed the ball to Gonzalo Garcia, who headed the ball in. Xabi himself has really expressed the term flexibility.
The conversation was back then, well, who's going to play in the center back position? Well, it's not the center back position, it's actually 3 center back position.
He wants his side to be able to adjust within games. Against Salzburg, I thought I was watching the Madrid team from 2024 again. Look at Bellingham's pass to Vinny. How many times did we see this exact movement and passage of play in their first season together? The players were clicking again and looked like a team rather than a group of individuals. Xabi had also done a great job of integrating the new players. Hausen looked like Toni Kroos at center back. He is so good at breaking the lines, so comfortable on the ball, the complete opposite of Rudiger and Asensio. With one pass, Housen was taking out the opposition's entire press. He would bypass the entire midfield and be able to hit someone like Vinny with a driven through ball, automatically putting Madrid into the attacking third. Alonso's build-up doesn't work without Housen, and the fact that he was suspended against PSG was a huge miss, because Madrid had to go with Dumb and Dumber as the starting center backs. Trent was also doing well. It was his cross that helped Madrid score against Juve. He was bombing forward and actually providing a creative outlet on that right side. Madrid haven't had an offensive weapon like this at fullback in years, someone that can just create something out of nothing. So him not being there against PSG was another huge miss. Then of course you have Gonzalo Garcia. Now he isn't technically a new player since he's played a few times under Ancelotti, but Xabi finally gave him a real opportunity. The poor guy scored a winner against Leganés in the Copa del Rey, then never saw the pitch again until the Club World Cup. Garcia ended up being one of the best performing players in the entire tournament. He gave Madrid an outlet in the box, something they haven't had since Joselu. He was always finding space in the 6-yard area, finding pockets of space, then punishing teams. Al Hilal, Juve, Dortmund, all three teams saw how lethal he was in the box. Then against Salzburg, he showed that he isn't just a poacher, as he scored a lovely chip in transition. Against Pachuca, Garcia showed his playmaking ability, as he assisted Arda Güler's goal. There is a reason that Xabi was comparing the Spaniard to Raúl.
Reminds me a few things of Raúl, that he's always in the right position, always waiting for the chance, always great work ethic, helping for the team.
All these stars on the pitch, yet it was the 21-year-old from Castilla who stole the spotlight. But beyond the goals, what made Gonzalo Garcia such an asset was that he ran without the ball.
The pass by Jude Bellingham was beautiful.
Yeah.
The movement of Gonzalo Garcia takes the defender away, which then creates a passing lane for Jude Bellingham, and now Vini, the dip of the shoulder, and now there is a finish.
He fought for every duel, he pressed like his life depended on it. He has no ego and is willing to do the dirty work without the ball. Unfortunately, all this progress was halted when Mbappé came back. Now, I don't want to just blame one guy for the downfall of an entire squad. It is a team game. And then there's the whole causation versus correlation dilemma, that just because two things happen at the same time, it doesn't mean one caused the other. But it's getting harder and harder not to put the blame finger on Kylian. You see, all this wonderful progress that I told you guys about earlier, about Real Madrid finally clicking and pressing and playing together as a team, it all happened when Mbappé was on the sidelines. The Frenchman was ill, and that's actually the reason that Gonzalo Garcia got his opportunity. With the Spaniard leading the line, Madrid pressed better, they were far more organized defensively, and looked way better in possession. Now, of course, I'm not here to say it was perfect by any means. Against Salzburg, sometimes their press looked amazing, other times it was as disorganized as before, but there was progress. Mbappé at the time was only coming on in the 60th to 65th minute, as Xabi slowly eased them back. It was all working until the PSG game. Because it was a big game, I guess Xabi wanted all his big name players to be on the pitch, but he pretty much got rid of all the positive adjustments that he had made earlier in the tournament. Mbappé was thrown into the starting 11, and on paper, it looked like he was on the left, Vinny on the right, with Garcia up top, at least to begin with. But as the match went on, it became very clear that Garcia was just shoehorned into the right side and Mbappé was back in the middle. As a result, Garcia was just being wasted. The man who had been in fantastic form was being played out of position. Then Mbappé, who was up top, was making the same mistakes he did all throughout 2025. He wasn't pressing, he wasn't working hard off the ball, and even worse, he was losing the ball too easily. This clip of him losing the ball to Kvara then walking back really sums up PSG's transfer strategy. They replaced their old number 7 with a new player that is not only good going forward, but is willing to work hard for the team. Now, like I said, I'm not gonna solely blame Mbappé for the team losing 4-0, because while Donatello was playing with his balls up front, Asensio and Rudiger were just gifting PSG goals. Everyone knew the absence of Trent and Housen would hurt the team, but I don't think anybody expected Madrid to just bend over for the Parisiens. Seriously, their first 2 goals came out of nothing, just 2 horrible mistakes. But on top of these individual errors, PSG simply exploited and punished Madrid's weak system. The 4-3-3 shape with Mbappé and Vinny simply does not work against good teams. We saw Barca pick it apart time and time again in the 2025 season, and PSG did the same thing. They took their foot off the gas, otherwise this could have been double digits. Inter Miami looked better against these guys. They at least had more shots, created more possession. A 38-year-old Messi played better than prime Donatello and prime Mr. 10 times more. The final 4-0 scoreline meant that Real Madrid conceded 84 goals in the 2024-2025 season, the joint worst record in their history. That is not just on the defense, but the entire team structure. I don't care how many goals Mbappé scored in the league. It's very obvious that with their current setup, they will not win trophies. Because there's no shame in losing to the best side in the world, but there is shame in the body language of the players. Xabi actually showed his disappointment in them when he took Vini and Bellingham off, even as Madrid were trying to get back into the game. Now on top of Mbappé, Vini did not look good against PSG either. Now what's interesting is he looked fine in the games where Mbappé wasn't playing. His performance against Salzburg was a typical Vini performance, dancing past players, punishing teams with his speed, and making runs in behind. Now of course, I think most Real Madrid fans will tell you he looks nowhere near the 2024 version of him. Even though statistically he's doing okay, anyone that watches the games live will tell you this isn't the same guy. He went from a Ballon d'Or favorite to a player that should frankly have his Brazilian passport revoked, especially when he plays with Mbappé. You see, it's one thing to miss chances, it's another to not even be able to beat your man anymore. This is a player who used to carry the left side on his own, since Mendy behind him was useless going forward, but now he can't even make 5-yard passes, and it seems to only happen when he plays with Donatello. Mbappé is like that bad influence older brother. He doesn't press, so Vini doesn't press. He doesn't pass when others are open, so Vini doesn't pass. And whenever the two play together, it's like Vini forgets he's a creator. He keeps trying to shoot from these crazy angles, and is looking more to score individually than to help the team. This is a big problem that Xabi will have to fix, because the Vini that played with Gonzalo Garcia was very different than the Vini with Mbappé. I also don't buy the argument of people who say his good form was a purple patch. He was one of the best players in the world for multiple years. That's not just luck. Whether you love him or hate him, you can't deny that he dominated that left side for years. Big Champions League nights, good performances in La Liga. He was a star. Is it a mental thing? Are there things happening to him off the pitch? Because I refuse to believe that a player as good as Vini can just forget his footballing ability overnight. Now, I will say it's not all doom and gloom. Just by making it to the semis, Madrid earned a big share of the prize money. We also saw how good Xabi ball can be. On top of that, many of the Madrid players that were never given an opportunity under Ancelotti were now shining. I already spoke about Gonzalo Garcia, but another two players that looked great was Fran Garcia and Arda Güler. Fran Garcia as a wingback in Xabi's 3-back system was super effective. It allowed him to push forward more, and he's far better on the ball and in possession than a player like Mendy. Then Arda provided the team with the control that they had been missing. Finally, they have a player who can dictate the tempo of the game, keep everything clicking. In that match against Salzburg, he was even trusted in a deeper role alongside Fede Valverde. In a double pivot, the two dominated. Güler had the freedom to move around, to get on the ball as much as possible. People don't understand how important it is to have someone that can decide when to speed up the game and when to slow it down. Then next to him, Valverde was being utilized as the heart and soul of the team. He is every manager's dream player because he offers you an unlimited work rate and can get you goals when you need it. He's actually one of the rare players on the team who doesn't have an ego, who doesn't play like he thinks he's bigger than the club. Xabi wants him right in the middle as one of the pivots, running endlessly up and down the pitch. Buddy has more stamina than your favorite porn star. But this is Real Madrid. Success is the minimum requirement, and it has to come fast. Little bits of progress mean nothing if they spend another year not winning the big pieces of silverware. Can Xabi do it and join the likes of Zidane as former players that helped elevate Madrid to new heights? Or are we seeing another version of the likes of Rafael Benitez and Lopetegui? Only time will tell. But Alonso has a master plan for how to make Madrid great again. To see the details of his plan, you have to watch this video right here.